Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode number 32 here in the Happy Space Prison. Today, we are getting back into finishing out our space program. It's been a couple weeks since the last time I was able to record. I had a business trip, and it delayed me a lot. But I'm back at it. We're going to get started with the final stages that we need to do in order to get into the late game for this playthrough and finish out the things we need to finish out all the achievements in the base game. So stick around. We're going to get into some final things with our research and our space program, and hopefully by the end of this episode we'll be ready to finish to start our run on the late game and finish out all of our achievements. So the first thing we need to focus on is something that was brought up to me in a comment from one of our viewers, and that is that I had things a little bit off with the space program. So rockets in Spaced Out have a maximum height of 35 blocks, and that's what I had set up here for these rockets. In the base game, rockets can go to 45 blocks, which means I need to, if I'm going to continue with having them the same placement, I need to go down about 10 blocks lower, which means I'm going to need some more space down here, and I have the space to do it. I'm going to make some changes here. I'm going to move the rockets to a new location and move things down. But before I do that, I want to clean this area up. This boiler system here for this steam vent, it's just something I kind of slapped together, and then I put in some cooling for other things here near it, and it works, but it takes up a lot of space and it's not very efficient. I don't need to go crazy like I did with this boiler system. This was kind of just a pet project for me, with making it so that it also boiled the salt water and the polluted water, and it's very over-engineered and way more than what I need. For this one, I'm just going to put it so that it does the minimum of what I need to keep this steam vent cooled, and also I'm going to move all of the cooling systems that we have in here and make it all into one enclosed system, which will also mean I can lower it down low enough that I can have some extra space to work up here to do our rockets. And then we'll have this entire section to do different rockets for different things, and get into the end of the playthrough. While we're doing that, we're going to keep sending these rockets off to keep our research going. The research we have left is only a couple of items. We have we're finishing off our unique cargo research, which gives us sightseeing modules and biological cargo bays, which we need to get the gassy moos. We also want to get into a place where we can make hydrogen engines, and I'm not exactly sure what this research is even for, but we do need to finish it in order to finish the research. So we will get that done and keep working on that while we're working down here. Made some progress. Did a pretty simple conversion here. I just kept it as simple as I could while combining all the things that I wanted. So here I have 5 steam turbines that are running to keep the steam processing. So whenever steam comes out of the cool steam vent, it gets turned into water, and the excess water is sent out using this pipe here. So it comes around. If this pipe has room, it sends the water into here to keep this room pressurized with steam, and then once this pipe fills up, excess water gets sent down this way over to storage for water. Inside here, I also have a few things that I built. I have the 2 loops that go for our crops, so I have the polluted water loop that goes to keep the bristle blossom farm cool, and the petroleum one that is used for sleet wheat, and they have their own buffers and stuff inside here, and they all just process keeping the temperatures that we need. I have this one up here that does cooling on the steam turbines to keep them running. And then I have this one here, which I just kind of modified to make it so that there's a tempedizer underneath here, which keeps this pool at 85 degrees. So this loop constantly reheats itself. And so it continues to run until we hit 200 degrees on this thermosensor, which means the oil in here has reached 200 degrees. And as long as the coolant doesn't go below 0, making sure that we don't have any cracked pipe. That way, this will continue to run, and if the steam in here is not hot enough, it'll heat it back up, because it'll keep heating up this oil as well as the steam around it. So that way, this can just keep running, even if we're putting water back in that's colder, or if there's the steam coming out of here doesn't quite hit the 125-degree mark, we can keep running steam through the steam turbine. Pretty simple. Just combined the two things I had here and also shifted it all down. And I put the entrances to these on this side. I could just close these up, but I like having access to get in there in case I want to change anything in the future. So I'm going to do a little quick sweep here to clean up everything that's inside. So top up there too. And then I also moved the entrance into our space biome down to line up with this. So we have lowered everything down. It used to be up at this level. Now we're down to here. So we have extra space here for building the exhaust system from our rockets, and we were able to lower our bunker tile level down 10 blocks so that we have space for the bigger rockets that we need. In the meantime, I've been sending rockets out to do research or to bring back data banks for our research, and we've gotten almost all of our research done. We're working on the last one here for cryofuel combustion to get our hydrogen engine and our liquid oxidizer tank. And then we still have to do this data science one, which again, I'm not quite sure why there's nothing here for research. It's just extra research we need to do. But either way, we need to do it to finish out the research. This rocket here is now ready to launch as well. So let's turn this off and we can launch this one out. And basically, they're just going up and picking up research or data banks for us by doing research. Once we finish all the research, these will be retired and we'll get started on our new rockets. The new rockets, we're going to need to do a little bit of work on the side to figure out exactly how we need to build them. Ideally, what we want to do is get hydrogen rockets running. To get hydrogen rockets running, we need to make liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen. To make liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen, we need to get super coolant, because that's the only way we can get temperatures low enough to liquidize the hydrogen and the oxygen. There's a couple ways for us to get Fullerene for our super coolant. So we have up here, we have the gilded asteroid. We get 42% Fullerene. So once we can get a rocket that can go 130,000 kilometers, we can send it here and pick up Fullerene and bring it back. That's a little out of our range at the moment. And the only thing we can do is send a cargo rocket to this metallic asteroid, because here we get Fullerene. Now, it's only trace amounts, so we'll have to send several rockets there to get enough to make the super coolant we need. But so basically what we need to do is figure out how we're going to get rockets that can go to this metallic asteroid, which we can already do, and to the gilded asteroid so we can get into Fullerene, so that we can start getting into those late game materials. We're going to do that using the calculator on Professor Oakshell's website. So I'll meet you over there in just a minute. Now, we've used this calculator before to do our ranch calculations, but this one is a slightly different calculator that is used for rockets. And so what we want to do here, and this is my first time really playing around with it, so I may need to figure things out, but we want to get a rocket set up. Let's look at the one that goes 130,000 kilometers first. Now, you can see it says unreachable because our engine type is steam. What I want to know is, can we set up with petroleum to get there? And again, that answer is currently no. If we were to switch it so that we had we know we need to have one solid cargo bay on this rocket, and we need to have the fuel tanks set up for it. So currently, without any solid fuel thrusters and a petroleum rocket, we can't reach 130,000 kilometers. So if we add solid fuel thrusters, is there any way that we can get? Doesn't look like that's the case. And that's what I expected. The problem is that as we add mass to the rocket and we add fuel to the rocket, it causes us to have a change in our range. And so you have to kind of figure out exactly how much, not only how to build the rocket, but how much fuel and oxidizer to put in so that we can get the correct range. And if we look here, if we change our, let's set this to the 30,000, because that's one that we'll be able to achieve. We can see the amount of fuel versus the range of the rocket. So as we go up, it kind of goes up in a slight curve, because we get to a point where it's optimized, but then as we continue adding more fuel, the range goes up at a slightly slower amount, because we're going to be using, we're going to be adding weight that brings it back down a little bit. So let's do this without a solid fuel thruster. So we can send a rocket. If we have a rocket with one fuel tank, 882 grams of fuel and 882 or kilograms, 882 kilograms of oxidizer, that gets us exactly to 30,000 kilometers. So if we do it with 900, that's what we have been doing, we'll be able to get there using one solid cargo bay. If we were to change this to 2 solid cargo bays, we would need to have fuel and rockets at 1706 and oxidizer at 1706, and then that means we'd still be able to hit the 30,000 range. If we try to add another solid cargo bay, we end up getting to the unreachable state, because the weight from the cargo bays means that we are not going to have be able to put in enough fuel tanks in order to reach where we want to go. So the best we can do is to set up a rocket that has 2 solid cargo bays. We're going to need 2 fuel tanks and 1 solid oxidizer tank with 1,706 kilograms in it. That'll get us to the 30,000 kilometer range. So I've taken some of the knowledge I've gained from our rockets and I've started building a new rocket here. So this uses what we learned from Professor Oakshell. I have 2 liquid tanks. I have 1 oxidizer tank and I limited it to 1,706 kilograms. And I put on 2 cargo bays. So when I look at this rocket, I can see that it has a range that's actually 28,000. That's because I didn't limit the fuel to what it was, and it gives us more than what we need. All we need is the 20,000 mark to get to here. And so we're set to go on this. What I want to test here is I've been building this rocket bay a little differently. I have the gantries kind of embedded in the wall here. And if you look at the navigation for our duplicants, when the gantries are out, that means they can come down here and they can jump down to the ladder and keep going down. And I'm trying to make it so that I don't have as many places where things can get stuck when I have meteors come in. Because with this, I get like meteors on top of the gantries and stuff like that. Or debris, I should say, from the meteors. I want to see if that is the thing. The question is, the ladders, if they get broken, they still function. I want to know if the gantries still do too, or if I need to repair them. If I set these, if these get damaged by the rocket going out and then I set them to not get repaired, will they still be able to use them like their ladders and be able to get to the thing? If that's the case, then I can just build them into the walls and kind of set them there. So I'm going to launch this rocket, and then we can see what happens, because these will get damaged from the heat of the rocket itself. And you can see they already did. And then the question is, let's grab this duplicant to see his navigation. So it looks like with them broken, they can still get to all the spots, which means I can set these up. I don't have to worry about the automation. I'll just set these to disable auto repair. And then that way, when they come through, they won't try to do anything to them. We'll see that they get rocket damage, but we're not going to repair them. So it doesn't matter. They'll just function as broken gantries. And hopefully that'll work. And then that way I don't have to worry about that coming off. We are having heat damage for this, but I don't have any cooling on it yet. So I might be able to set up cooling here to keep this from overheating. This will be able to get all the way to the one side of the rocket. So the idea is I would have another tower like this on this side for the gantry to come out of, and then I would have this inside. I'm still working on trying to make it so that this doesn't get hit by the heat so much. The other thought I had is maybe I could do it where I would have it back a little bit and create some kind of liquid lock to prevent the gases from escaping to heat it. But I think if I just have active cooling on this and keep it cool enough, that heat's not going to do enough damage to it to cause problems in the long run. So I need to run that cooling loop from these over and work that out. I'm also working out making some changes down here to this area. I decided, since I'm going to have this ladder going down through, I'm going to move this section down. I can actually disable this now and put these 3 liquid locks across. So this one will be temperature controlled to keep the temperature from here to here. This one won't need it because we'll be going to a vacuum, and then that will be, it'll lower this down so I can have more space up here for projects in this area. While that mission is going out to pick up some stuff for us, I'm still working on sending out these rockets. And the testing that I was doing here is this rocket is now refueled and ready to go again, or it's refueling. This one is refueled, but the oxalite needs refueled. So I just disabled the gantry up here. I think that the astronauts don't really need to come out. Like I'm not gonna have any problems if they just stay inside there. So if I make this so that these rockets come down and then they refuel, I can send them again without the astronaut ever leaving, which is not exactly the nicest of things for the astronauts, but would make my life a lot simpler. And so that's what I'm testing here. Once this is done, I will relaunch this rocket, and I won't do anything with the gantries. In fact, now that I know the gantries can be damaged, I will just set these all to disable auto repair, and then I just won't switch them. I will leave them on, and then all I would need to do is this gantry up here. I would connect it, and then that way I could do it if I wanted to pull the astronaut out. Otherwise, the rest of the gantries would just stay out. They could come out and they could repair whatever they need to. So once this is refueled, it looks like it is. Let's go to the star map, and we're going to launch this rocket as well. And we're going to see these gantries get damaged, but because I have them disabled on auto repair, they'll still function, and it'll be fine. The other question I have is, with this rock robominer right here, is there any chance of me having a meteor come in and land there and land the natural tiles or regolith on top of it? And if that happens, I guess I'll just have to dig it out, but we'll see. I got to get cooling on this even just for its normal use because it's heating up as it's being used. So we're going to have this break from overheating shortly. We'll get that fixed. The other problem we're having with our system here is I had the cooling for the steam turbine tied into everything, and everything was overheating. So this overheated, meaning it couldn't cool down this area, which overheated the aqua tuner, and now this isn't working. So I redirected our power line so that I could put a tile here. I'm going to put some fluid right here so I can create a temporary liquid lock, and then we'll go in here to make some changes in here to get this fixed up. So we'll do that while we're running these rockets to finish out research and do some research. But I think what I'm going to do is I'll put a second aqua tuner in here, and I'll have one that cools down this system here and one here that cools down the steam turbine, and then we should be good. Down here, eventually, I can probably tie it into this area where I'm going to be building a steam system probably separate from this one, or I might just try to incorporate it if I'm feeling like that'll be fun to do, where we pull the heat out of the window tiles that we're going to put underneath where the rockets exhaust. And then I can tie a cooling loop into these that doesn't have to run so far, or I can just run this cooling loop over because I already have it. For now, we'll probably just run it over so that we can get it going. Lots of little things to finish out while our rockets are out doing their research, but we are doing pretty good on our progress. Gotten a little bit distracted with dismantling my old space program over here, and it's going well. I'm just slowly removing everything because we're done with the steam rockets and the shorter rockets. Now these rockets also would have fit in there because we're just going to the closer asteroids, but we will be utilizing all this space in a little bit here. We just needed to get some rockets that can go to the close ones to get us the Fullerene we need to get into the next step. Now we did bring this back, and this rocket has some stuff for us. We're just going to empty storage so that we can grab everything out of it, and that's going to drop everything right down here. And you can see we've gotten almost 2.5 kilograms of Fullerene, which isn't a lot, but it's enough to get us started. We have a lot of things to do to set up to utilize that. We're going to work on that next, but I just want to finish this up and show you what we're doing here. I'm just kind of designing it as I go, and after running some testing, I think that the gantry being through the wall like this will work out fine. That means that our duplicates are going to be able to get up the ladder anyway, and that'll allow them to get into places. On this side, I actually put it at each section of our rocket segment going up so far, and then I'm having a ladder up through the middle. I want to finish building that and then let it go for a little while to see if we get anything from meteors striking in between those spaces that are in there. If not, then that'll be great. As far as the robo miners, I've decided that this is what I want to go with here. We're going to have a wider pillar, and then the robo miners are going to be on the bottom. So this one can see over here to clear out this side of the rocket bay. We can also go this way. So unless I have meteors coming in at an angle and blocking both these robo miners at the same time, if one of these gets blocked, the robo miner can clear it from the other side. And then over here, I put one here so that this one can reach out and clear this one if any meteors get stuck in here. That way none of these will get blocked completely. It's also nice that they're all on the same level down here at the bottom, which means that I can run the coolant that way. Problem is I'm going to have these diamond spikes down here. I'm still going to need to run the loops down and back up, but we'll get that figured out in a little while. Just want to get 2 of these finished so that we have some space for them. We also, the reason we're dismantling here is this rocket that just landed brought us our last research or data banks that we needed for research, and we finished that. So we have now finished our colony achievement that is for finishing the research tree. And that is down here, honorary doctorate. Every item in the research tree has been unlocked. So we've unlocked everything we need to do. Coming up soon, we're going to go through the achievements to see what's left and come up with a plan on what we still have left to do. But for now, we got that done, and we got our last research done. So cryofuel combustion technology for the hydrogen engine and the liquid oxidizer tank, and then our data science technology. Oh, I guess this is what we get from it because it just doesn't show in there. So that's great. We'll take a look at all that stuff and determine if any of it's stuff we're going to actually use in this playthrough. Mostly we're focusing on getting those achievements done. For now, what I'm going to do is go down and work on setting up something to use this fullerene that we got so that we can turn it into super coolant. So it's been a minute for me since I've actually gotten into late game in Oxygen Not Included, and I was surprised to see they have a new building for super coolant. When I last played, it was Molecular Forge that made it. I always kind of didn't like that because it made it so you made bottles and then you had to put the bottles into stuff to empty them into a line and all that. I do like how this new emulsifier recipe uses petroleum and then golden fullerene. It just seems like a better recipe, and I like the fact that I can make it and then have it pumped straight into a liquid reservoir and then into a bottle filler. So we don't have a ton of the fullerene, as I said, so we are going to use what we have, make what we can. In the end, I think we'll end up being able to do 2 recipes this first time around because we have 2 kilograms plus 400 for towards the next recipe. But that means we'll be able to get a bottle of super coolant. I don't think that'll be quite enough to do what we want to do with the hydrogen rockets, but we have a lot of other stuff to do in the meantime. So I can send a few more rocket trips up to the metallic asteroid before we get started working on hydrogen, and we'll get enough to do it. This is just a basic setup. So I have the storage bins here for gold, and then this is for fullerene whenever we get it. I'm actually gonna make this high priority for the fullerene because I just want to get it down here. Actually, I'm gonna set this 8. We'll set this 9, just because I want that to be done right away. I think that this will stop making super coolant when the line is full because it'll back up. I don't think we need to set up automation for that, but we'll see. It's going to be a while before we get a reservoir completely filled with super coolant anyway, so I'm not going to worry about it for right now. But this should get running. Should make us a little bit of super coolant there. I'm still up here working on our rocket bay here. I finished this side, and I want to work on getting the coolant lines over to these robo miners so they can work. At the end of seasons or series, I should say, I kind of get to the point where I'm like, I'm not sure how to keep going. Like, I want to do as much as I can in a series, and sometimes I get focused on, I want to do everything. And I think I'm going to focus really well on these last few episodes, just finishing the things we need for the achievements in the base game, because my next series coming up, I'm going to be doing an everything playthrough. I'm going to... I've talked a little bit about it, but the goal is going to be I'm going to play in new DLCs. I'm going to have everything available that I can. I'm going to do a little research to figure out the best start to make it so that can happen. And then I'm going to play for, if my computer will allow it, to reach 10,000 cycles, because I recently got to 10,000 hours of playthrough and oxygen not included, and I thought that would be a fun way to do it. We'll see. As the game gets later on, sometimes the frames become a problem. So we're going to play either till 10,000 cycles or until the frames make it so I can't keep going. And the goal is to hopefully colonize everything in a spaced out map, have everything automated as best I can, use whatever tricks I can to do it, and have a lot of fun with it. I am going to take a break after this series is over to do a little bit of other stuff, some oxygen not included stuff, some other stuff as well. But that is what is coming. But for now, I need to finish out the last few things to do that. And I'm going to end up today's episode just going through very quickly what achievements are left and kind of come up with a plan. We have the 2 main achievements, which we're going to finish once we're done with the rest. But Critter Whisperer, I do still need to tame a Shine Bug and a Puffed, which I can do at any time. But I'm waiting on the Gassy Moo, which I need for this achievement. I also need that for moving one up, which is, to just tame a Gassy Moo. So taming the Gassy Moo will finish both of those once I get the other 2 tamed as well. And we need to get to space to do that. So in the star map, there is, let me see, I think it's this one. Organic Mass has the Gassy Moo. So I need to get to 50,000 kilometers, and I need to have a biological bay on my rocket. Very achievable, can get it done. Just don't have everything set up to do it quite yet. The other thing we need to do is some reservations is one that we just need to do to finish it out. I need to build 2 more nature reserves. I haven't decided if I want to do them somewhere where I'm actually going to use them or just knock them out so that I can be finished. I'll probably do the second, let's be honest. Then, not okay but pretty cool, I've been waiting to get Super Coolant so I can do this, because to get down to absolute 0, I need to have Super Coolant to do it. And now we have the technology to do that. We just need to get the Super Coolant together and freeze a building down. Get a room is the same as the nature reserve one. I just have a few things I just haven't built. A recreation room, a luxury barracks, and a greenhouse. I don't really have a purpose for those, so I'm probably just going to build them out just to get them done, do the minimal thing for them, and be done with them. And then we have down the hatch. I need to make some refined metal with smooth hatches. Again, I now have a better method for making that. And so we kind of skipped past this. So we're just going to set up a place for us to get some smooth hatches and get this finished. And job suitability, still always a problem for me. I don't think this achievement works as intended, because there are things that count as jobs and things that don't, and it's kind of frustrating. But we will get it done. And then once we finish all of those, we're going to knock out the Great Escape by sending a duplicate all the way to the furthest star map destination, which means we need to get a rocket to go that far, and Home Sweet Home, which all we have left to do for that is to build a great monument. And then we'll be done with the achievements, which will wrap up this series. There's a couple other things I kind of want to do. I just haven't decided if I'm going to do them in this playthrough or wait until the next one. We'll see how things progress. But at this point, I think we're pretty close to the end, just a few more episodes, and we'll be done with this playthrough. Once I do that, I'm going to have the maps up for download, and I will have, another series coming pretty soon. So stick around to finish this out, and then we can look forward to that. I appreciate everybody watching, and all your feedback. It has been a lot of fun. So keep it coming, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.